Hey guys, Tom from EverydayGamers.com, and as I promised you in the last video, I'm going to go ahead and show you just some of my tricks and tips for taking off the price tags from GameStop. It's always been a big pet peeve of mine. If you've watched my videos, you know how anal I am about, the way I keep my video games and about, just making them look nicer and really keeping them in good condition. And I don't buy games if they don't have the original case. I don't buy games if they're missing the instruction manual unless it's something that I really can't do without or that's incredibly rare. So I figured that I'd pass on the tips that I've come to find out through my experience with purchasing used games from GameStop and even unfortunately new games. Now I'll tell you, this has always been a pet peeve of mine, and it used to really catch me by surprise when we'd have customers come into our store and they trade in games, number one, sometimes without any cases, and we'd have to make up generic cover art that look nothing like the original cover art. You guys have seen those printed out cover arts from GameStop, and I used to hate that, and I didn't understand why there's some gamers out there that just don't care about the case. Also, we get cases that would smell like urine, cat pee. Anybody who works at GameStop can attest to the various number of just crazy situations we would have with some of these games, and really the condition they would come back in, and some of them look like they were rubbed on cement. So it kind of it doesn't surprise me, but it makes me wonder, why has GameStop really taken to this whole sticker thing here, where they put the sticker on here on the back. And not only that, but I've noticed that since I've left the company, something they become really big on is putting the sticker on the side and right on the spine of the video game itself. And I know that this has worked for them, and I can understand from a pricing standpoint of why they're doing this. But for gamers and for those of us who really like to take care of our video games, it's frustrating to purchase a game and to have to deal with this. I know there's other alternatives out there, but everybody uses some kind of sticker system. I've shopped at other video game stores, and the ones that don't, they tend to not have the selection that I'm looking for. So, this is one of the things that I kind of take with, the negative, is the fact that obviously GameStop kind of owns the market, and especially the used video game market. So, for those games that I'm not able to find in print still, and I have to go through GameStop, or even if it's a new game and that's the only place I can find it, and it's open and whatever, then you have to deal with these stickers. So let me go ahead and show you guys how to take care of that. First of all, what I prefer to do is actually to take this out. Now, you have some GameStops that, at least from what I've experienced in my area, they'll put this sticker right on the cover art. Now, that's a big time issue for me because, number one, it's not as easy to pull off of that cover art. Number two, if you mess up the cover art, you're not going to be able to replace that. You can always replace a case with another case. So, that's not as big a problem. But when it comes to this cover art, there are ways to purchase new cover art or to download cover art and print it out, but, it's a little bit more of a pain in the neck. So, the one thing that I recommend to you guys is either you're going to need some fingernails for this part, because there's nothing that you can spray on here, any kind of solution, but you got to get in there and really kind of make sure you get a hold of it and get it to where it's lifting up. And if you get it to start lifting up, usually you can get it to go. Now, this one is a really poor example because it looks like I'm going to have some issues with this. But let me just work here for a minute from the corner, and I promise, if nothing else, I'm going to cut some of this out, so you'll probably see a little bit later on as I have this all the way off. Alright, so now I've gotten that sticker off, but you're not going to be able to really tell, I don't think. Yeah, you should be able to see a little bit. There's still some residue on here. So the technique that I use to actually get this off, just your dry thumb or a dry finger, and just rub. Don't worry, you shouldn't end up rubbing the paper till it rips, and if you feel like you're getting to that point, I would just stop. But just continue to rub. I'll continue to just try to get that residue off of there, and it'll stick to your thumb, and eventually you'll have it pretty clean. So I'll come back as soon as I have this done. Okay, so as you can see, I've gotten that sticker off there. But don't put this back into the actual case itself. Leave that off for now. And I'm going to show you why in a minute here. Unfortunately, some of that residue's on here now. But that's okay. We'll get that off. The other thing I'm going to do is take out the instruction manual. You'll see why in a minute. And I'm even going to remove the disc itself. We'll set that over there, face up, of course. Alright, so now for these, it's going to be the same kind of process. And a lot of times you can actually get these off just by being very careful, being very slow, and just getting the corner up and peeling off. Now, there's still some residue there, and you can try to work that off with your thumb. From my experience, you're not going to get all of it off. Do the same with the one that they use to cover the back barcode, and just peel that up and off. It definitely comes off a lot easier on these cases than it does if it's on the cover art itself, which unfortunately it just seems like more and more of the stores are putting it around the cover art. Now here's where the little trick comes into play, and this is how you get the residue off of here. Like I said, I mean, you guys know I'm very anal about this, and I know a lot of people don't care. And the reason why you want to leave this cover art out of here is because this stuff has a tendency to somehow get underneath there. So first of all, you spray that on there, and seriously, what this is that I'm using is a product called Goo Gone. You should all be pretty familiar with it, or you might have heard of it before. One thing, you may like this, you may not like this. I personally like it. It has a very strong citrus smell, so it doesn't smell like chemicals, but at the same time, I don't want all my video games smelling like oranges. So what I do is I just spray this on here. Depending on how much of the residue you have left on here, you may have to let it sit for a little bit. So let me do that on there. Then what I do is I have just a basic wet napkin, wet paper towel, and just wipe that off. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, even though there really is no residue, but this will get, it's been sitting on the shelf for a little while. This will get any of that off of there, anything that's been on there. I mean, trust me, some of the people that traded in their games, nasty. I mean, you wouldn't want to, I don't know, I don't want to touch the video games sometimes. I didn't when I worked there. And just knowing that, I like to get this case pretty clean. So I'm just now taking a paper towel, dry paper towel, and wiping off the outside here. And basically, everything's perfect now. Let me just clean off my table so my wife doesn't get mad. Put the game disc back in. Put the instruction manual back in. And, keep in mind, one of the things about this, guys, is it just takes patience, especially when you're dealing with that sticker that's on the spine of the case itself. And let me just go ahead and insert the instruction manual back in. But definitely you want to kind of, keep that out while you're doing this, because if you get this thing wet, it doesn't look pretty when you have a wet cover art, or even the instruction manual itself. So there we have it. We're done. No barcode, barcode there, price tag or anything. It's all off, all clean, and looks new. Looks like I bought it brand new without having the GameStop stickers on it. So that's it, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I hope that this was informative for you. I don't know how informative it was. I don't know if most of you even care that much about this like I do, but to me, it's a big deal, and I've heard some other people comment on it and ask how you get those stickers off, so I figured I would show you my way. And if you have a better way, go ahead and let me know. I would love to be able to cut the time down on removing these stickers, but that's my thoughts on it. So thanks a lot, guys. I will talk to you all soon.